Good.
My name is Mike Seidle from the new job search app WorkHere, and I'm next on the RecTech podcast.
And welcome to the RecTech podcast, the recruiting technology show. I'm your host, Chris Russell. I'm a consultant who helps job boards and HR tech startups with strategy and marketing. So the goal of this show is to highlight innovative and interesting recruiting technology vendors, along with trends shaping the world of online recruitment. But first, today's podcast is sponsored by recruitingheadlines.com. Browse all the day's top stories from the recruiting industry. Sign up for email alerts to get a daily digest of the day's headlines each evening during the week. Head over to recruitingheadlines.com for more. My guest today is Mike Seidle. Mike is the co-founder and COO of WorkHere, a new mobile job search company based in Indiana. Mike is a past director of development at DirectEmployers and a former board member on the HR Open Standards Consortium. Mike, welcome to the show. Good to have you.
It's great to be here, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so tell us, what is WorkHere and why did you guys build it?
Well, WorkHere, it's the first social mobile app that's really designed to build talent pipeline around specific employer locations. For job seekers, we're a mobile app that lets you see where jobs are right around you. So you can pull your phone out anywhere, and you can look on a map and see who's hiring right around you. We light up all the places blue that are hiring and all the places gray that you might be able to work that don't have jobs posted on the internet, and we expose the whole job market and the hidden job market. So the idea itself came from working at DirectEmployers with a guy named Rick Worley, who was a developer with a company called Online Career Center that got purchased and turned into Monster.com. Mm-hmm. So Rick's really the tech guy who worked with a guy named Bill Warren to bring the first job board to the internet. So the idea really just came out of, hey, we've been building all this technology focused at hiring professionals, hiring business development people, computer programmers, and engineers. And the idea with WorkHere was, what if we made a way for people to find jobs for everybody else? And we started looking at mobile and looking at how to do it right, and we figured out that, what people really care about is location. It's why they take jobs. It's why they leave jobs. And the less money you make, the more important location is in picking where you're going to work.
Right. Now, so I've seen the app, I've downloaded it, played around with it. I like the whole location aspect of it. Are you targeting a certain type of worker with this?
Our target initially, we thought, hey, this thing would be great for retail and restaurant. And so we took it to market, and our first customer that signed up was actually FedEx Ground. So we pretty quickly realized that, hey, this works in a lot of other industries, not just retail restaurant. And so our customer base is lots of different industries, but the one focus that is the same is we've really stayed focused on workers, and that's really the 73% of the labor market that doesn't sit in front of a computer all day, isn't an office worker, part-time, full-time, skilled, semi-skilled, entry-level, all of those different things that just aren't the target market for most of the conventional career marketing platforms that are out there.
The service economy, right? You're targeting all those people.
A lot of service economy, a surprising amount of manufacturing. It's just what's interesting is that there's a whole class of employees. Even if you have a company that has a lot of knowledge workers in it, you still have to have people there making the rest of the business run. So if you look at a hospital, we still have cafeteria workers and orderlies and people that keep things clean. And so what we found is, even in businesses that you would think would be more of a professional kind of workforce, they still end up having a large number of workers there. And we found the best way to reach them is mobile.
Yeah. So the app is located at workhere.com, and I usually have a browser version of this as well. Question for you, since you work in the app and on the browser, what are you seeing in terms of the usage of each of those two different platforms out there?
82% of our usage is via mobile.
82%?
And 82%. Kind of surprising. I thought it would be more browser-based. But
yeah. Well, when you launched, did you launch first on the web or both, or how did that work?
We did something a little different. We launched on the web, Android and Apple at the same time.
Okay.
So we didn't really ever have that chicken and egg problem of which platform to start on. We wrote our apps so it would work on all three, and that was looking back was a good move because we learned a lot very quickly about how to really reach our target market, both for employers and for the job seekers.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's important to launch on all those platforms at once like that? Give me more of the reasoning why you did that, as opposed to just launching on iOS first, for example.
Okay, so you hear a lot of advice out there to launch on one platform, and I think a lot of that advice comes from developers that can only build for one platform, because when you launch on all three, what you end up getting is a full view of the market. When I go advertise and I get users, I get the full signal from the market. Android users are a little different than Apple users and a little different than web users, and you really see quickly how important each one of those platforms really is going to be long term. For us, the big learning was that a lot of our employers on mobile, the employers are using iPhones, but 80% of the job seekers, 80% of the workers are on Android.
So
if we launched on one platform, we would have missed a huge chunk of both of those two very important markets.
Good points. So how about the difference between how people look for work, if they're a professional versus sort of your typical hourly, traditional worker?
That's a fascinating question because it's kind of surprising. We looked at data from DirectEmployers over a four-year period and looked at how people actually were looking for work on 43,000 different job boards. And what we discovered was there's two boxes on a job board, one that says where and one that says what. Mm-hmm. In the where box, people will put the town they're in or their zip code or something like that. In the what box, I'll let you take a guess. What do you think the number one search term was that goes in that what box?
Number one search term? That's a great question. I don't know. What's the answer?
It totally blew me away. And my partner Rick, who'd been with Monster all the way from the beginning, it blew him away. The word job.
That was actually in the back of my mind as I was thinking about that question. So that's interesting.
But it's almost like the trick answer to the trick question, right?
Where did you find that stat?
We analyzed about 4 years of data from 43,000 job boards that DirectEmployers operated.
Ah, okay. That's interesting.
That's
the word job.
Just the word job. And so you go into meetings and we talk about what people were looking for, and everybody would want to throw the word job out because it was just noise, right? Mm-hmm. And the reality was what was going on were people were going in and they were looking for, show me all the jobs that are near where I live, and then they would go through and read through, all 80 pages of results from the job board. So it was really literally a search for, I want to find a job near me that I can get. And so that kind of led to, in our app, why we did the map-based, why we went with the map-based interface, because we were able to show people very quickly, here are the job places that are hiring near you. You can go look at those places and find the job that you want. And the interesting thing about workers is that there are some skilled labor jobs where skills are super important, but for the most part, when you're dealing with jobs that pay less than $18 an hour, a lot of them can be trained on the job within 2 or 3 weeks of when they start. So there's not necessarily a whole lot of value to the skills. It's more about finding dependable people. One of the best signals of somebody being dependable to an employer is that they can get to work. Living close to work helps.
Can you kind of give us some of the features of the app in terms of from a candidate point of view as well? What can you do on
that? From a candidate point of view?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we have a full profile. So you can put in your education history, military service, volunteering, all of the sorts of things that you would have on a normal resume or on a social network like LinkedIn. We can have all of that on there. We actually based that on the HR Open Standards candidate specification. So it's a pretty standard profile. You're able to go look, as far as search for jobs, everything is really driven by geography. So the way you search is by using the map. You move the map to where you want to look and zoom in, and you can see all the employers in blue that are hiring, and you can see all the places all the businesses, we put them in there in gray. Because one of the interesting things is, despite the fact that job boards have been around since, the mid-'90s, we still have somewhere between 50 and 80% of jobs never get posted on the internet. So we put all the businesses in the area on the map too, because we know that some of those places will have now hiring signs up, and some of them will be ones you can walk in and ask for an application the old-fashioned way. But that's really the core of the application. We also have a social network built into the app where you can follow friends and keep up on what they're doing and where they're working and that sort of thing. And that social network really has helped us grow our app a lot, and over time, that will emerge to be the most valuable part of the app. But right now, our app is just an absolutely great way to find work, especially if you're looking for something that's close to home or close to school.
Right. Okay. And so as a business, I can go on here and sort of claim my profile. Tell us more about how it works from their standpoint. How do you get jobs posted? What else can you do with the app?
Yeah. So right now we probably already have, if you're an employer out there and you're posting jobs on the internet, chances are we probably already have your jobs, and chances are you're showing up on our map. If you're not, you can contact us and we'll add you to the map. If you want to claim your place, we do, for our paying customers, we provide a better experience for candidates. First of all, we start with giving you a branded profile where you can have photos and your logo. We put your logo on the map instead of the generic blue and gray dots, so you stand out, and we make you visible as people zoom out on the map. Here in Indianapolis, we just ran numbers for a hotel that's located downtown, and they were able to get to about 1,200 job seekers in a single week. Whereas if they were just one of the blue dots, they would have been seen by maybe 200 people. So we give our paying customers a lot better visibility.
Okay. And how would they go about posting a job on here?
So there's 3 ways to get jobs. Actually, now 4 ways to get jobs into the app. We do get some jobs from Indeed. So if you're using Indeed, we get them through that. We do get jobs from DirectEmployers and all of the different companies that they pull jobs from. I think there's about 19,000 that they work with. And then for our paying customers, we can connect directly to your ATS and pull jobs right out of your ATS. The beautiful thing about that is that we get the best quality data that way, and we also can do the integration in a way that pulls jobs multiple times a day, so the jobs are more up to date.
Yep.
And then the final way is you can actually post jobs from inside of our app. And a lot of employers that are our customers do that because they have evergreen positions and that sort of things that are just very difficult to manage inside their ATS. And so they like to put the evergreen positions in WorkHere, get people to follow those positions, and then when they do have an opening, then they invite them to come apply via the ATS.
Gotcha. So, Mike, what would you say is the value proposition for businesses and employers using this? Why should they use WorkHere?
Well, there's a couple of things that come to mind, but the first thing is, and this is really important, we've been very much focused on Indiana as a test market, and we haven't launched everywhere in the country yet. I think that's something that's coming this fall, and we're really looking forward to it. But just looking at what happens as we develop a market out, we're able to get your jobs in front of thousands of job seekers a week. Our reach is fantastic with the app once we light up an area. Even when we haven't lit up an area, we still have a couple of really big things that we offer to employers. One is it's one-touch engagement. Once somebody has WorkHere, all they have to do is tap the follow button, and you get full access to their contact info. So we don't have to go through the whole ATS engagement process just to get people into the list so that you can continue to market them, invite them into whatever hiring events you're having and that sort of thing.
Almost like a one-click apply, almost like the Amazon.
It's like that, but the beautiful thing, what we tried our best to do is avoid creating a compliance event inside of our app. We really don't want to be the ATS. We want the employers to be, everybody has their own process, right? Mm-hmm. So they're out, everybody has a different way of hiring. What we want to do is respect that and kind of be the top of the funnel and get more candidates in. So the real need that we're seeing out there in the market is that there's less than 1.5 candidates for every open job. And it's interesting in that those numbers affect workers more so than they do professionals. Right now, it's hard to find people to man the counter. It's hard to find people to take those entry-level positions. And just getting a pipeline built around your locations can make a huge difference in how easy it is to hire.
What have you guys learned so far about building apps themselves? Any takeaways you could tell us about?
On building apps?
Yeah. How many iterations have you gone through as well?
Oh, my goodness. This is the version of the app we have. I think if we were tracking it with formal version numbers, it would be like version 4 in 1 year. So we've been through a lot of big iterations. But the two biggest takeaways on building the app, one is if you can swing it, launch on all the platforms. Don't just launch on Apple. Don't just launch on Android, because those markets are very different than one another. And it's surprising to see the difference. The Apple users are higher income, more likely to be working for big corporations. But when you start looking at workers, the vast majority of them are carrying Androids, and they spend money differently on their devices, and they use them a little differently. So that's kind of the biggest takeaway. The second biggest one is we spent a lot of time building WorkHere so that it will work for all kinds of different literacy levels. And a lot of app designers, a lot of user interface designers really don't do a good job of, what do I do with somebody that has an 8th grade reading level or a 6th grade reading level? And it's very important to design so that people can operate your app visually without lots of text.
Right. That's pretty key. Okay. Good stuff, Mike. Mike, are you guys funded?
Yeah, actually, we started our year off. We closed out our angel round. We raised about $1.7 million. Gave us about an 18-month runway, and the good news is that we're up to about 100 paying customers now. So our runway keeps getting longer and longer, and our user growth rate has been doubling every 2 weeks, and we're up to about 500 users a week. And we've been able to target that growth around where our employers are. So we're able to get pretty good candidates in the system around those paying customers.
Okay. So, and you kind of alluded to this before, but what's the go-to-market strategy for the rest of the country? When can they expect, some kind of rollout with this? And how do you go up against, secondly, some of the bigger companies in the space, like the Indeeds of the world, which has such a massive sort of brand, Mindshare out there? Talk about that a bit if you could.
Sure. Well, let's start with Indeed. Certainly, they've done a great job of being the place that has all the jobs in a job board kind of format. The thing that they're not very good at is lower wage positions and that sort of thing. A lot of the jobs they carry are metroized, so you don't know if those jobs are on the north side of town or the south side of town. So if I'm looking for a $15 an hour job, I'm probably not going to want to drive 30 minutes to get to work. And so that's really where we shine against those sorts of tools. Really the goal here is, our goal is to really focus on that worker market and less of the professionals and that sort of thing. And that's, I think, where Indeed and where all the existing players do a really good job. The market that we're going after just hasn't been addressable. They don't have computers on their desk all day, and so they're not going to sit there and search for jobs all day. But they do carry mobile phones. Yes,
they do. Certainly. So, great. So, rest of the country, what do you think? What's your timetable?
Well, the way things are going, first of all, we started marketing here in Indianapolis April 28th, and so we got a lot of traction really, really quickly here. And so one of our customers asked us to go ahead and start working on Dayton and Cincinnati over in Western Ohio, so we started doing that. That's went really, really well. So we'll probably grow around our customers for a little while. I think when we hit the fall, we'll probably look at raising another round of funding and then expanding nationally and trying to get to most major media markets as fast as we can.
Right. Yep. Sounds good. Finally, it's a free app for job seekers, I assume. What are the costs for employers to use the app?
Right now, the cost for an employer is about $42 a month per location. And we do adjust that based on quantity. So if somebody comes with hundreds of locations, we have a discount for that. But it's just one price per location. You can post as many jobs as you want. The integration with most applicant tracking systems is something that we can do for free. And if you have your jobs on DirectEmployers or Indeed, there's really no work to do. We can take the jobs you're already posting and use those.
Well, Mike, we appreciate you joining me today. Tell everyone where to go to get the app and get more information.
Sure. To get more information, just go to WorkHere.com, and you can find us on both the Apple App Store and Google Play and Amazon's App Store. Just search for WorkHere, all one word, no spaces in it.
All right. Well, I wish you well. It's a pretty cool app, and kudos on the innovative stuff there. I like the location-based, search, and I think it's something that's definitely needed in the job market. So, wish you guys well.
Well, thank you very much, and again, thanks for inviting us to be on your show.
All right, that's going to do for this edition of the RecTech Podcast. Follow me on Twitter at Chris Russell, or visit rectechmedia.com. You can find the audio and links for this show on our blog. Thanks for listening, everyone.